Hey, Shalom, Kahala, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Hakudash, the ones and apostles, great millstone, and Shalom to you brothers in the highways and byways, doing the works sincerely and faithfully, and continually fighting the good fight of faith. Lord, willing, you are found in that number. All right. So tonight's lesson, or this morning, it's 3:30 a.m. is gonna be concerning nuclear defense systems. All right, and we're gonna pull up an article of some current events that had just taken place concerning the ability to have, the nuclear missile defense, not only here but abroad. All right. So what you see on the screen, it says, "Missile defense: Why America has almost no protection from the greatest threat it faces, and what to do about it." Okay. Now we've been hearing for years about America having missile defense, Israel having the Iron Dome, and things as such, things of this nature. But in all actuality, it's all bullshit. Okay, it's all bullshit. When these thermal ICBM missiles start to fly, that's it. That's a wrap. Game over. All right. So let's get into a quick article that we have. Actually, it's a quick video that we got lined up, and then we'll go from there. All right, this is the video here.
Israel is holding crisis talks with the United States after the Progressive Squad forced House Democratic leadership to cut $1 billion in funding for Israel's Iron Dome from a short-term funding bill passed to avoid a government shutdown. The Iron Dome is a purely defensive system that Israel uses to protect its civilians against airborne missiles, including the thousands that Hamas launched at the country earlier this year. Harris, this force was done because of the Progressive Squad, as I noted. Folks like Ilhan Omar, who says Israel hypnotized the world, talked about dual loyalties, the tropes, the anti-Semitic tropes that we've heard from her. Rashida Tlaib was another one. We recall that she questioned the loyalties of congressmen and women who support Israel. These are people with anti-Semitic statements that are now dictating foreign policy in the halls of Congress.
All right, so let's look at this squad and see who it is. Esau, Edom, they're full of pride. No matter what you do, no matter what happens, they have so much pride. Now let's just take a look at the squad, as they call them. All right, so this is the squad. You got two Israelites, Ephraimite and a Judite. You got Elam, and I don't know what this third one is, but she might be Arab. Not too sure. So this is the squad. These are the four that put into play the striking down of $1 billion to Israel's Iron Dome defense. All right. Now, when you listen to the young lady who was just speaking, when she started to make mention of their names, with so much pride, because none of these are Edomites. None of these people here are Edomites. All right. And she's speaking with such hatred, if you will, but trying to keep it professional at the same time. But this is the squad. These are the four women: Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Rashid Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley. All right. It says all four are women of color and first-time candidates. Okay, so they were all elected in 2018 to the Senate. Okay, to Congress, I should say. And Trump told every single one of them to go back to their own country. All right. So all in all, I bring these women up not to be noted as heroes, but to show you how the minute somebody of another nationality starts bringing forth, putting, an effort to strike down policy or what have you, Esau, Edom can't take it, man. They can't take it. So let's go back. I'm not going to play too much of this.
Yeah, I wonder if this isn't some sort of, that the White House wouldn't even get involved in this, right? I wonder if it's not some sort of virtue signaling to that group by the White House. Like, yeah, we hear you. I mean, we know that the president is...
Let me,
This is heard even more on top of their... that thought that innocents deserved to be attacked because they disagreed to make sure that those get reinstated.
Absolutely, John. And Senator Tom Cotton noting that this removal of the Iron Dome funding from the short-term spending bill happened on the same day he proposed a bill that was rejected by Democrats to label the Taliban a terrorist organization. Congressman Lauren Boebert pointing out also after we gave tens of billions of dollars of weaponry to, you get it, the Taliban.
Is there a certain word that we use to describe people who aid in the assistance of the destruction of Jewish people? Is there a certain word that comes to mind if you describe somebody like that? Yeah, there's a certain word that comes to mind, all right. So on top of that, we armed the Taliban with American weapons. I mean, it seems like the Taliban and everybody that hates Israel, that Biden administration's the best thing ever happened to them. It's absolutely disgusting to see what's going on. They need to replenish those rockets. Can you imagine had they not had enough rockets when those pictures you just showed were happening? You'd have had a lot of people. And I would ask the squad, if those rockets ever hit the ground because of lack of defensive missiles, are you going to let those Israelis pile up on our border and let them in and escape what's going on in their country like you're letting everybody else do it?
Yeah, and support for Israel used to be bipartisan. It's increasingly not looking to be the case. So sad.
I want to Brian.
Okay, so Esau, Edom, they're trembling in their boots. So now let's get a basic understanding of the Iron Dome and how it works. All right, so this is the Israeli Iron Dome. So the dome is not necessarily a shield or a protection. What it is it's rocket for rocket or missile for missile, however you want to say it. All right. So here on the left side, you have the so-called defense system. All right. You got the radar trucks. You got, the mobile control unit, which determines and the trajectory of the incoming missiles, the impact points, and so on and so forth. All right. So each time an incoming missile is sent, the radar will pick it up, will find its trajectory, and launch a counter attack on that missile. All right. So when you've seen the video they were showing, when you've seen the flashes, let me bring it back real quick. Okay. When you see the flashes, what you're actually looking at is.
So I'm somewhat in a. I wonder if it's not some sort of virtue signaling.
Give me 1 second here. Let me just put that down. Let me see if I can bring it back real quick. There. All right, there it is right here. So what you're actually seeing when you see those flashes, you're seeing missile contact missile. All right. So that's the so-called Iron Dome. And, they make it sound fancy as if there's some big dome, dwelling over the horizon and stopping anything that comes through. That's not the case. All right. So it's a missile for missile, and once again, it's not able to handle anything other than a surface-to-air missile or some type of mini rocket that's coming over. All right. So from there, let's go on. I'm going to go to Amos 3:6. It says, "Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall it be evil done in the city, and the Lord have not done it?" Because the Lord is now making and exposing these nations, man. These two nations, Babylon and Amalek. All right, these nations are being exposed, and the Lord is doing it, and the Lord is ultimately going to destroy both sides. Okay. You sitting there, Esau was talking about, is there a name for those who want to kill this, that, and the third, and blah, blah, blah. The Lord is doing this. It was all prophesied to happen and go down this way. Okay? So let's not get too beside ourselves. All right? This is Revelation 17:16. And it says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." Now, I'm bringing this out, right? Because this is how it's going to go. Now, if the missile defense system was something worthy to be spoken about or talked about, this scripture wouldn't hold true when it says burn her with fire, because she's going to burn, these regions are going to burn with fire because of the thermonuclear missiles that are going to land upon her. When I say her, I'm talking about Babylon and Amalek and various regions of the earth. Okay? It's going to burn her with fire. So in order for her to be burnt, it has to go through this so-called Iron Dome, and it has to go through the so-called missile defense system. Okay? It has to penetrate through it. So this is how we know that even though they're talking about, oh, you know, $1 billion has now been, you know, removed from their budget, or the nation, you know, Babylon has a defense system that's going to stop any, you know, missile coming from overseas. It's all bullshit. It's all smoke and mirrors and bullshit. She's going to be burnt with fire, and that fire is going to be means of thermonuclear missiles. That's the bottom line. And we're coming to that point. We're here. We are here. All right? Proverbs 11:21, it says, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished. All right? So, once again, you have your Iron Dome and you have your so-called missile defense system. These two nations, you know, are joining hand in hand, or I should say countries, are joining hand in hand. All right? So they're going to be punished. They're going to be dealt with. They're going to be burnt with fire. But the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. Right? And when it comes to speaking about that delivery, that's being beamed up by Yahweh Bashmi Yahushai and the chariots. All right? But who are the two most leading, you know, most wickedest nations on the planet? Babylon and Amalek. Okay? Proverbs 16:5. It says, everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. Right? They're always talking about Amalek's the key ally to Babylon. Right? So since you're the key ally, or the biggest ally, or however you guys want to put it, you join hand in hand. So you're both going to suffer the same fate. Okay? So from there, it's not going to be a very long lesson. So now I want to bring out the point here. Because, Israel has the Iron Dome. All right? So the question was, does America have a missile defense system? And the little caption here says, 3 shorter range tactical anti-ballistic missile systems are currently operational. The U.S. Army Patriot, U.S. Navy Aegis combat system, SM-2 missile, and the Israeli Arrow missiles. Okay? Now, once again, prophecies are unfolding. The scriptures don't lie. All right? Now, why would it be known as the Israeli Arrow missile? Okay? Why is it known as the Arrow missile? Why is it when some type of American nuclear missile is compromised, or to some extent something's wrong, they have the term broken arrow? You see? Think about it. And it says, in general, short-range tactical ABM cannot intercept ICBMs. Okay? So this whole missile defense system is, regardless of where it is and how it's set up, is going to fail. Okay? Even if within range. Arrow 3 can intercept ICBM missiles. Okay? So my point here is, there's a couple points. That does America have a defense system? Yes, it does, but will it work? No. Two, they classify the missiles as arrows, right? So let's go here. 2 Ezra 16 and 13. It says, "For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world." All right. So if they want to refer to these missiles as arrows, let them do so, because it's falling right in line with prophecy. All right. What is the percentage of the people in the world? You know what? I want to say people. What is the percentage of the people in the military that know the scriptures speak about these arrows? And I'm going to put my money on there's a higher percentage of them that don't know it. There's a high percentage. I'm not saying they all don't know it, but I'm saying the majority of these people, because once again, the majority of these military people, they're sheep just as well, man. They're sheep being led to the slaughter just as well. You know, and I'm not referring to Israelite sheep, just the term sheep in general. Okay? So there's not going to be much left of I'll say there's not going to be anything left of Babylon. And there's not going to be much left of Amalek when the missiles start to drop, man. All right? I want to, just two more things I want to get hold of. What's this here? All right, we don't want that. All right, so let me get this. Let me get this. All right, so I had made mention of. No, better yet, let me go here first. This is Revelation chapter 6, and I'll start at 14. And it says, "And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And it says, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountain." Okay, now why is this taking place? Why is this taking place? If they're so secure in their defense systems, why are they hiding themselves? Especially for a man who's proud, right? Isn't it not said? Proverbs 16 and 5, everyone that is proud in heart, you know, everyone that's proud in heart. Let me take it back another step. Listen to this woman here. Listen to how proud she sounds.
With the United States after the Progressive Squad forced House Democratic leadership to cut $1 billion in funding for Israel's Iron Dome from a short-term funding bill passed to avoid a government shutdown. The Iron Dome is a purely defensive system that Israel uses to protect its civilians against airborne missiles, including the thousands that Hamas launched at the country earlier this year. Harris, this force was done because of the Progressive Squad, as I noted. Folks like Ilhan Omar, who says Israel hypnotized the world, talked about dual loyalties, the tropes, the anti-Semitic tropes that we've heard from her.
You see, pride, just her countenance, her delivery, all right, her Edomite pride. You see, it's an abomination unto the Lord. Continuing on, and it said they hid themselves in the dens of the rock. So why are they hiding themselves? Why? If your missile defense system's so great, you should be, that beacon of light on the hill, pounding your chest, talking about, hey, nobody can beat us. because they know it's set to fail. This is why they're hiding. If you have a great military, you're not going to run and hide. You're going to stand, fight, and be victorious. And let the world know that you're victorious. But not in this case. Esau Edom is going to hide in the rocks, and then they're going to be so goddamn afraid, they're going to wish those rocks and fell on them. And it says, 15 from the top. It says, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountain, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Okay. Now it also mentioned mighty men in verse 15. Mighty men. There's no escaping, man. Judgment has been written. Sentence is about to be cast down. Okay? Your missile defense system is not going to work on any side. Prophecy is set for Babylon to be destroyed. Okay? Prophecy is set for anybody that's joined hand in hand with Babylon will be destroyed. All right, so let me take it to this last article that I have. Okay, it says, why Russian hypersonic missiles can't be seen on radar. So if there's a missile out there that can't be seen on radar, then what good is your missile defense system? Okay? Because if you look, and this goes for any system, all right? But it's just, it's being described here. Okay? Multi-mission radar. So the radar detects incoming missiles, incoming rockets, I should say. It says identify rockets or shells, monitors trajectory, right? And that's how they know now to launch at certain angles, at certain altitudes, say at certain levels, or what speed it's coming in at. You see? But Russia has what? Something that can't be seen on radar. So if it can't be seen on the radar, then what good is your defense system? You see? What good is your defense system if it can't be seen on radar? Now, there was something else. I'll read this. I won't read much of it. The age of the Russian super weapon is upon us. At least that's what President Vladimir Putin wants us to believe. Okay, so clearly this is written by somebody other than the Russian military. Okay, and that's another thing. Anything that is put out by a country describing what they may have or what their capabilities are, when Esau Edom gets a hold of it in Babylon, it just makes it seem like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, right. You know what? Let me find what the heck I was reading. But basically, that's it on that. I mean, you get the idea and the concept of what it means to not be seen on radar. Okay, it flies low enough and fast enough that any missile defense system cannot pick it up. All right. So with that, that's just about it. That's just about it. I wanted to pinpoint, how the squad here has struck down, $1 billion in funding for the Iron Dome defense system. Now, if you heard that Edomite in that segment, he said that if they don't have enough rockets to shoot at incoming missiles, then the place is going to be doomed. It's doomed anyway. All right, it's doomed, like we said earlier. It has already been set to fall. So even though your vain imaginations, your vain thoughts are that, oh, we're going to preserve Amalek, we're going to preserve Babylon because of our defenses, it's not happening, man. We coming to the end of this thing, and it's about over. All right. There was an article that I wanted to briefly read, but I can't recall where under what. Let me see. Nah, it wasn't here. But anyway. That's all right. I can't. I may have deleted it. But hey, but Lord willing, brothers are edified, and we coming to the end of this thing. Hold fast, pray without ceasing, and may Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai protect and defend us when when all hell starts breaking loose around here. All right. So with that, I say shalom.